It's Green Shopping Day, but just how green are our grocers? Well, if you've been to your supermarket this morning or seen the adverts in today's newspapers, you can't have failed to have noticed that today is Green Shopping Day. Everyone, it seems, wants to be seen to be green.
Being green has never been so fashionable, and whether it's petrol or potatoes, big business is falling over itself to produce goods which are environment friendly. Green Shopping Day is the brainchild of Julia Hales, co-author of the new Green Shopping Guide published this week. However successful today is in getting the message across, the experts predict that green shopping is here to stay, with many more companies already drawing up plans to extend the range of green products on their shelves.
Being a green consumer raises your awareness about the impact of particular products on the environment. And if you're aware of those, you might well consider giving them up. Equally well, what green consumerism does is it encourages greater energy efficiency, less packaging, consideration about the resources that are put into particular products.
The Green Consumer Guide published this week has surveyed British supermarkets to discover how many of their products are environmentally acceptable. The greenest stores, which get 4 stars, are Safeway and Sainsbury's, and Marks & Spencer just 1.
I think there's been a very rapid development over the last year. If you looked at the supermarkets at the beginning of last year, you'd probably have found very little response in terms of environmental policy.
Are there any other reasons why they're suddenly jumping on this bandwagon?
Well, I think the concept of the green consumer has begun to engage right through the sector, from the consumer to the retailer and the manufacturer.
Today is Green Shopping Day, an event which aims to alert shoppers to green issues in the high street. It coincides with the publication of the Green Consumer's Supermarket Shopping Guide, a book which aims to give consumers the lowdown on where to do their food shopping in the most environmentally friendly fashion.
It's not just the supermarkets that are looking and seeing the commercial incentives that green consumerism presents. The manufacturers are realising the same benefits, but that in itself is the motivation, and at least if they're following that motivation, at least they are making improvements towards their effect on the environment, and that's what really matters at the end of the day.
Of town sites, for example, make people use their cars more, and so contribute to acid rain. Supermarket coffee could be aggravating the greenhouse effect. That's because some of it's grown on land from which tropical rainforest has been cleared. And tinned tuna fish may threaten an endangered species. No, not the tuna itself, but the dolphins that are often scooped up with it when it's caught.
I think it's impossible for a company to be totally environment friendly. They're always going to have some impact on the environment that isn't good through the products they buy or they sell, or the way that they operate. What one's trying to do is to get them to operate in the most environmentally efficient way that they can and reduce the impact that they have on the environment.
And what's quite extraordinary is that the supermarkets themselves, in response to the questionnaire, have been sending people out to Brazil, to Indonesia, to the Philippines, to actually grill people on what the sources of supply to the products that we actually buy in the supermarkets are. It's the first time most of these people have actually tried to do it.
Caring for the environment, is it for cranks, or is it now big business?
A green consumer is someone who actually chooses the products and actually looks at what effect that product might have on the environment and goes for the one that is more environmentally friendly than the alternative. Do you know what a green consumer is?
No. A green consumer? No.
Yes.
I have. I've read about it in the paper that there's been a campaign.
What a lot of people are unaware of is exactly how their consumer purchases affect the environment, and the fact that even within a normal supermarket you do have a choice and you can make a significant contribution.
Tomorrow is Britain's first Green Shopping Day, aimed at making customers more aware of the range of environmentally friendly goods on sale.
Supermarket chains are participating in tomorrow's Green Shopping Day, each one bidding for a greener image than the next. Shoppers are being urged to choose products that don't harm the environment and supermarkets to stock more green goods.
What we're trying to do is encourage the already fierce competition that there is between the supermarkets to be the most environment friendly, because we recognise that supermarkets do exist and they are there and they are a place where the majority of people go shopping, and we want to make sure that they are also acting as a force to help the environment rather than against it.
I think this idea that we climb on bandwagons in order to make some vast profit is a little bit unfair. What we try and do is to show to people, give them the choice about the environment, give them the opportunity to make up their mind.
It's we Conservatives who are not merely friends of the earth, we are its guardians and trustees for generations to come. No generation has a freehold on this earth. All we have is a life tenancy with a full repairing lease.
Good evening. Tomorrow, in case you didn't know, is Green Shopping Day, and it marks the first anniversary of the day when the bluest of the blue went green. In the year since Margaret Thatcher announced her conversion to the cause, there's been an unprecedented explosion of green advertising and green marketing. These days, it seems, saving the planet is something you do at the supermarket checkout. The Green Consumer Guide has already sold 250,000 copies, and tomorrow sees the publication of a follow-up, the Green Consumer's Supermarket Shopping Guide.
Honestly, I mean, ordinary people don't go to specially organic grown shops. We go to street markets.
Most of the major supermarkets stock organic produce.
But when you're on the North End Road or any of the other street markets, the length and breadth of the United Kingdom, and you see some nice-looking broccoli on a stall, you've got no way of knowing, unless you're psychic, whether it's
the largest supermarket chains in London is in the North End Road, and it has a very large range of organic produce, so I don't think you'd have a problem if you were there.
So are you saying, basically, is your advice don't buy on a market where nothing's labelled, only buy where foods are labelled?
No, not necessarily, but if you're going to buy organic food, which is an important step in order to help preserve the environment, you can actually get it from most of the major supermarkets, which is, after all, where most people shop. I think you'd find very few people here who go to the North End Road.
And that's what we're trying to do with Green Shopping Day. We're trying to make people more aware of the choices that are there, and to show people that people who've been shopping as green consumers over the last year have had some effect, because there are more products available for the green consumer around on the shelves today than there was a year ago. And we feel that green shopping, being green consumer, is one way to actually get things done, particularly because you are using your purchasing power to be sending a very positive signal to the manufacturers and the retailer that those are the sort of products you want, and therefore you want them to be looking into how they can be causing less damage to the environment than they have been doing up to now.
Are you prepared to admit that quite a lot of green labelling is almost deliberate deceit?
I think that there's no doubt that we need a national green labelling scheme so that companies can adhere to national standards rather than creating their own. That's what Green Shopping Day is all about. It's, Green Shopping Day is actually trying to make people more aware of these choices and to give a greater understanding of what the real issues are.
But Green Shopping Day is saying buy green things. It isn't actually, with respect, unrolling a great carpet of knowledge to people.
Well, I think that it certainly is extending people's knowledge. The very fact that you're debating it here at the moment is extending people's knowledge about these particular issues. And I have to come back on the point that David Icke raised as well, because a part of what green shopping is all about is if you understand a lot more about the particular products you're buying and how they impact on the environment, it should be raising signals in people's mind as to whether they need those products in the first place. There are particular products that people could feel that once they're aware of the impact they're making by buying them, they could decide to give them up altogether. And then, of course, there is the fact that if you're cutting down on the amount of packaging or the amount of energy or the amount of pollution caused by particular products, then that too is cutting down on the impact on the environment, and it is something that people are prepared and able to do.
I've got both to spend that amount of extra money is an uphill task.
Well, I think you've got to get people to do as much as they're able to do. You're obviously not going to force people to spend masses more if they can't afford it. But the fact is that by the amount of people who can afford it and the amount of people who do want to do something for the environment, it is a very good way of getting them to participate and understand some of the issues. And that's what we're trying to do. Of course, you're never going to involve everybody. Not everybody is that concerned or that interested. But just by getting a significant percentage of people to be involved, you're actually forcing very real changes and very real improvements in terms of what's happening to the environment. And that's really what it's all about. We want as many people as possible to be involved and to be aware that they too can be responsible for the changes and improvements that are being made on our environmental impact.
Okay.